get the P90X so I can have a bag of cheese balls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would that be reason enough for me to do the P90X workout? So after my workout, I can have a whole bag of cheese balls?
Not after every day after every workout, though.
You get the bring-in
Why
minute,
not?
and you'll be able to have that.
Tony will just. You should have asked that when he was
Yeah,
on.
well, why not? If I work out
Too
for
many
an hour
ingredients.
straight with the P90X and I feel like rewarding myself with a bag of cheese balls, it should be a wash, and I should be able to do
Not a
stuff
bag
like
of
that.
cheese balls, maybe 10 cheese balls, or a half a bag of
see?
cheese balls, or a third of a bag of cheese balls.
I
But
think
come on.
he's the poster boy for the next game. I can see
I'll
it.
have to weigh that out then.
Okay.
Before
we
I
should
buy
have a
it, or-
P90X work-off.
How about half a ho-ho?
Okay.
Very holiday driven. Very nice. Half a ho-ho.
Just a ho.
Just
For the holiday
you know
season,
what?
my dear.
My doorman's name is Jose. He's the only person in the world that you could say, hey ho,
Silver.
with a straight face. Anyway, it's time for our next special guest. So why don't we give a warm LDJ welcome to Alex Skelton, all the way from the United Kingdom. And he is a spokesperson for an incredible new stationary bike called the Watt Bike. Alex,
Hello.
are you there?
I certainly am.
Oh my God, don't you have the most delightful accent?
I think we have the
Well,
accent to him.
it's maybe an unusual one comes all the way from Canada, and England, so not many people have one of these.
Are you in Nottingham today?
I am.
And how's the sheriff doing these days?
Hey, he's fine. I mean, Robin has been pretty busy these days with all of the recession, and not many people have much money, so we don't see as much of him as we'd like, but he's around.
Give him my best.
Will do.
I couldn't resist it when I saw that you were from Nottingham. I was like, the sheriff! Oh my God, this is too much. Anyway, quickly tell us about yourself.
About me or about the
Yeah,
product?
about you, and then we'll get into the Watt Bike. Tell us a little bit about you.
I was born in Canada. I was brought up in the UK, but where I studied sports science for my degree. Then a few years later, now I'm working at Watt Bike, managing the communications in the UK and the US and North America and actually much of the rest of the world. So a bit of a varied job, really.
Tell us about the Watt Bike. Tell us what it is.
Well, it's an exercise bike primarily, but it's a little bit different to the ones that you will have seen before because it's designed to accurately measure your power as you're riding, which means that it can be used for testing and training for anyone from you or me all the way through to Olympic champions and professional tour cyclists.
That's what I found very interesting about it. And how did the Watt Bike get its name?
Well, it measures power in watts, and
Why don't I think of that?
yeah, we spent a lot of time developing the bike, and then the name just came to us. We weren't that creative, I'm afraid.
I think it's awesome now that I've tied the two together, and especially for people who are in the exercise and physiology industries, they, I'm sure, would get it right away. I'm like,
Well, yeah, although a lot of people misspell it.
how do they spell it?
WHATBIKE instead of WATTBIKE.
Oh, how do you spell a watt?
WATT.
That's what I thought. Why would you spell it with an H? That's like my...
Question mark bike, yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
bike? What
Yeah.
bike?
What bike?
What? Oh, no.
Or English, what?
N-O. Oh,
Yeah.
shut up. Get the sheriff.
that?
Who's the guys who got together and created it? And why did they think there was a need for it?
Well, it was actually a collaboration with British Cycling, who are the national governing body of cycling in the UK, and the team that's responsible for pretty much all of the gold medals on the track at the last Olympics. And they'd identified that in cycling there's no universal testing or training tool that's available to athletes for testing, but also for home users so that they can compare themselves against the best in the world, or just to get the most out of their training. They take a very scientific view to how they train their athletes, so rather than just going out and riding their bikes, they actually identify which elements of their physiology they need to improve in order to make the best out of their performance. And they needed a tool that was accessible to most people to do that, so that they could identify talent earlier and then train it much more effectively. They did have a bike that they were using, but at $100,000 a pop, they're quite expensive.
Yes.
So the Watt Bike, with the Watt Bike, they wanted something that was much more accessible in terms of price, but still had the scientific quality data.
You know, one thing I find, I'm a certified wellness coach, and I do motivational lifestyle speaking and coaching, and I have a weekly motivational article that I write, and one thing and another. And what I find with most people that I work with is, even with myself, you get on a treadmill, you get on a bike, you start walking the streets, and you do it, and you want to increase your duration, your distance, but once you start getting really into, say, doing an hour of cardio a day to lose weight and maintain the weight, I find that I want to strive and get better and better and better. And that's why I was so excited about the WAP bike, because if somebody were to get into cycling and just starting indoor to get in shape, I think, if they tracked their performance, it would give them incentive. It would be built-in motivation, like perpetual motion. You know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the key things about the Watt bike is that you can do a very simple fitness test to start with, and then from that test, you can assign all of the correct training zones so that you know that every turn of the pedals that you're doing is at the right intensity to get the most out of your own physiology. Mm-hmm. And that's really what separates this product from every other indoor bike on the market, because you can, after 3 minutes, a 3-minute test, determine exactly what you need to do to make yourself better, whether your aim is to be an Olympic class cyclist or to be a bit fit and healthier or to lose a bit of weight. You can determine exactly the right intensity from a short test, and then you can make sure that the training you're doing is at the right intensity to get the best benefit. On top of which, because you can be so specific in your training, you actually have to do less of it to get the same impact.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you don't have to beat your brains out for an hour. When you do a more specific and personalized training regimen, you can get the results faster.
Absolutely, and it's especially true for cyclists who would traditionally go out and ride on the road, but they might set out to spend 30 minutes in a certain power or heart rate training zone, but they've got to wait until the terrain elicits that from them.
Sure.
Whereas on the Watt bike, you can get on and do 30 minutes straight off at the right training zone, because you know exactly what the power you're delivering is, and you can see your heart rate on the monitor at the same time.
Wow. I love the
Same
rate.
is true for weight loss, yeah.
Go ahead. Say.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same is true for weight loss. If you've identified exactly what intensity you need to train at for maximum fat burning for your own personal physiology, you can make sure that you're doing exactly that training, which means that you only need to do the minimum number of minutes to get the most out of it.
Gee whiz, that appeals to me. You know what else I loved about the WAP bike is I love the racing capability aspects. So tell us about how up to 20 other riders can participate in an indoor bike race, which I think would be terrific for spin classes. And I referred the athletic director, the fitness director at my health club, East Bank Club in Chicago. So maybe they will get some of these beauties, because they are always on the cutting edge of the high tech.
Well, let's hope so. And you can't just do racing. Well, you can do racing, but that's not all. So you can connect all the bikes together, and you can run races over any distance that you like, which is a great motivational aspect. But what's even more exciting about the bike is that it comes with some free software that allows you to display the individual power, heart rate, speed, cadence, and any of the important parameters for each individual in your class onto a screen, which means that you can have 20, 40, 100 people in your class, all of whom are doing a very specific training session for themselves in terms of intensity, displayed up on screen, and everyone can monitor.
I don't know if I'd like to have my stats displayed on the screen, because I'd probably be the slowest. You
don't have to show the numbers. You can just show that you're in the right training zone by color coding it, so that you don't have to show that you might be much more powerful than me and you don't want to embarrass me. We can just make sure that we're both in the right color training zone to get the most out of it.
Snark. Aren't you kind? I'll tell you this, after reading all about the WAP bike, I'm ready to try some indoor cycling, and not just the Schwinn Airdyne kind. Why does the WAP bike feel so much like riding a real bike?
Well, on a traditional indoor bike, most bikes are magnetic resistance, and magnetic resistance, the closer the magnets are to the flywheel, the higher the resistance, and it decelerates the flywheel much more quickly. Whereas if you're on the road, the faster you go, the resistance doesn't increase in a linear fashion. So what we've done is we've tried to replicate that on the bike. We actually use an equation from British cycling, taken from one of their top Olympic athletes, to show how speed increases with power. And then we've retro-engineered that into the bike using an air resistance system and also a magnetic resistance system, which means that when you stop pedaling, the watt bike decelerates. When you start pedaling, it accelerates according to the power that you're producing. So it actually feels like riding a bike either on the road or the track.
Wow. Tell us who currently trains on the bike.
How long have you got? It's quite a long list. We've got all of British cycling's top athletes, Australian cycling, French cycling use them. There are a whole load of pro teams and pro riders who use them. So the list goes on, but it doesn't stop at cycling. It's used extensively by triathletes. And then in the UK anyway, we've got a whole range of international sports. Pretty much every Olympic sport in the UK that's likely to pick up a medal next summer, they use them. And what they find is that traditionally, say a sport like rowing, which is very successful in the UK, if an athlete was injured, they wouldn't be able to monitor how quickly they were recovering, especially if, which is quite prevalent in rowing, they have a back injury. Now they've got the watt bike, they put the athletes on, and they make sure that they're maintaining their fitness all the way through their recovery. Wow. They've got the bikes at Manchester United, all sorts of other high-profile clubs here in the UK, and all over the world. In fact, we've just delivered some bikes into some Australian rules football teams, and just a huge variety of any sport where improving fitness and power is important.
Wow, cross-training, eh?
Yeah.
Mikey's got to ask. You want to ask a question?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions concerning the watt bike. You said you can put them in your gym, and you can have a bunch of athletes around these bicycles. Are they running the software at the same time, so it seems like they're on the same team, running the same bike?
Yeah, you can do it a number of ways. You can either show up each individual's performance, or you can link the bikes together to provide a combined performance.
A combined performance? What do you think about maybe racing somebody from your gym in Nottingham, racing against somebody in Paris, France, over the internet using the software? Is that possible?
It's not it is at the moment, but it's not on public release. We've been testing it for a while, but there's still a few bugs, and we're just working on that as we speak.
Because I'd like to see Laura Dion-Jones go up against you with what you guys have been talking about, and you guys could simulate a race, and I think that would be fantastic.
He would leave me in
we'll see what we can do.
Just
an idea I had, because you guys are on the cutting edge of this watt bike. You got the software. I just figured if you put together those two elements with the internet, you can come up with some really fantastic ideas.
Definitely. No, it is. It's something that we're working on at the moment, and as soon as it's up and running and out of beta, then I'll be back and we'll set that race up. How's that?
Email me so we can have you back on in a few months, because I'm going to do,
okay.
I don't know if you heard our show before you came on, but Tony Horton from P90X fame was on first, and he's sending me his workout. So for the next 3 months or so, I'm going to be giving his workout a shot, and so we're going to check back in with him. Maybe at the same time we'll set up a show and check back in with you and see if I can talk my health club into getting some watt bike trainers, and who knows, I'll be a whole new person and come what?
Sounds great.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Well, think about the Olympics had the very first Olympics. It could be the very first watt race in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, the International Watt Bike Race.
I'm telling you, you don't have to leave your country, you don't have to leave your gym to participate in this race.
Come on, Alex.
Okay, well, we'll make it so.
Let me just say this, that I am a triathlete. I was the very last person to complete the 1988 Chicago Triathlon in 4 hours and 57 minutes. So, it was a few years ago, I know, but how many people do you know in this studio who've completed a real triathlon? Because I know you, Alex, know tons of people. Listen,
I do know quite a lot of people who do triathlon, but I don't know anyone else in your studio who's done one.
Thank you. And also, I noticed on your website it mentions Paul Unet. Is that how you say his name?
Sorry, who?
Paul Unet. U-N-E-T-T.
Yeah. Carry on, yeah.
This guy, Paul Unet. Carry on.
Yep.
This guy, Paul Unet, is attempting to make a global cycling record on a watt bike, and he wants to circle the globe on your watt bike. But I wanted to add also that I've already walked the circumference of the Earth at the equator, so I can relate, except that I didn't walk it 1,000 miles a week to train like this guy does. Do you believe he trains 1,000 miles a week on a watt bike?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he puts in some serious time on the bike. So we've been watching his progress, and he's doing a great job. So he's certainly a fit guy.
God bless him. I only do 200 miles a month when I'm at my 5 to 8 miles a day walking. But
yeah, you can go a lot faster on a bike though than you can walking.
I know, you're tempting me. I'm such a diehard distance walker. It's not even funny. I walk as much as a marathon runner trains in a week.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I know.
How do you fit it in?
Pardon?
How do you fit it in?
You know something? There are no excuses because I do motivational coaching and just different things with motivational weight loss, and there are no excuses. I've been doing this since January 1st of 2003. I started walking daily in earnest, minimum of 1 hour a day, and that's how I just kept a record of it, and that's how I walked over 25,000 miles since.
Great. And what sort of shoes do you wear?
Oh, that's funny you should say that because you know what? If I think of it, I'm going to email you a motivational article this week that talks about walking shoes and the top 5 best walking shoes that I've personally road tested recently. And traditionally I have been wearing, what took me around the world were Brooks Adrenaline. And
Correct.
Now, Brooks Adrenaline, those are the ones that took me around the world. I have a pair that I saved that there's 1,000 miles on this pair of shoes, and I just can't bring myself to throw them away. But now I'm in Brooks Addiction, so I switched because I need a little bit of different cushioning and different ride. Jeff, you got anything you would like to add here to this walking story? No?
It's
Jeff?
great stories. Wonderful stories.
Anything else?
What time of day is it in your neck of the woods?
It is 10 to 10 at night.
Wow. Getting ready for nighty-night.
That's right, yeah.
Listen, tell us what worldly possession you can't live without. Your watt bike.
Probably my running shoes, if it's got to be someone who's not in something that's not in my family.
Oh, wow, that's good. I thought you were going to say your watt bike.
You can do so many things with your running shoes. Well, watt bike, the thing with a watt bike is it's quite big, so it's difficult to take with you when you travel.
That's
but
true.
When I come home, I make sure I spend quite a lot of time on it.
How many miles a day do you run when you train?
It depends. I wouldn't do the same sort of session every day. I'd vary it, but I do it as part of a sort of cross-training regime, so I would ride on my watt bike. I'd also row on a rowing machine or run. Just depends what's available to me, really.
I'm a walker. I'm a rower. I can row 10,000 meters in an hour.
Great.
So I know you can appreciate that. Mike, how many do you row?
You guys talk about this training, and you talk about how it varies from day to day. Do you guys know what you're doing tomorrow, or is it do I wake up and feel like doing 5 miles, or do I wake up feeling like I'm doing 10 miles? Do you know what you're doing tomorrow as far as a workout?
Alex, you take it first.
I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I would do tomorrow. My session for tomorrow would be 40 minutes. It's a 40-minute zone 2 training session. So for me, that's 130 to 150 watts, which would be around 120 to 138 beats a minute on heart rate.
Wow.
So it's quite a low-intensity session,
okay,
but designed to develop base fitness.
How often do you make these changes that you need to make to your workout?
Well, I actually follow one of the training plans that's available free to download on the Watt Bike website.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And it's very designed specifically to help you to improve your physiology. So it defines exactly which sessions you would do and at the right intensity based on a fitness test, which you can do in 3 minutes. So once you've done that, you know exactly where you are in terms of your fitness, and then after the first 6 weeks of training, you retest yourself, and then make sure that you continue to test yourself regularly to make sure that the zones that you're training in are right for you at that time.
Laura, do you know what you're doing tomorrow as far as the workout?
You know, I just know that every single day I will do an hour of cardio. Whether I do it on the treadmill, which my wings are clipped right now because I have a little stress fracture in my foot. So even with the boot, I know that I'm going to spend 30 minutes on the rowing machine, 30 minutes on a recumbent climber while I'm rehabbing. But even while I'm rehabbing, I do my hour of cardio a day.
And that doesn't change day to day. You just feel like you don't feel like you're doing it. You're just going to do it no matter how you feel.
Oh, without question.
Okay.
You don't ever. Alex, do you feel like, oh, gee whiz, I can't wait to go out and run 10 miles, or I can't wait to go out and, I mean, you got to do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Alex, what if you're feeling really good and you feel like doing the extra 10 minutes of workout, maybe do an extra mile or two?
Sometimes you feel like that, and then the most important thing is to enjoy your training. So if you feel great, then do a bit more. But you do always have to remember you can only train as hard as you can rest.
Okay.
So if you're getting a bit overtired, you need to take that into account as well. So when you're feeling great, you can maybe do a little bit more. When you're a bit tired, then you can maybe judge it and do a little bit less.
Alex, how can we find out more about the Watt Bike?
Well, it's all on the website at wattbike.com. That's wattbike.com, and you can find all about it there. And you can also download a free training guide, which will tell you all about how you could use the Watt Bike in your training.
I think that, and even just download the training guide so that if you can't get your hands on a Watt Bike right now, at least you could start looking at the training guide, using what you have, and working toward a Watt Bike.
Definitely.
I think that was great. I was very impressed to see that free download training guide on your website. What can you leave our listeners with today? What kind of tip would you like to give them? Any special tip for the holidays or anything?
Well, I think that the most important thing, especially with holiday season coming up, is that people tend to put their running shoes aside, or their walking shoes, or their exercise regime aside, and then eat an awful lot and come back in January feeling bad about themselves. But you don't have to do much from now until the lead up to Christmas, so that when January comes, you're already in good shape. So just make sure you keep exercising, and if you're not exercising already, then now's the perfect time to start. And then when January rolls around, you won't feel in such bad shape, and you'll be ready to really push on.
Alex, Watt Bike extraordinaire, thank you for calling us from Nottingham, England today. Please give the sheriff and Robin my regards.
Will do. My pleasure.
Our pleasure, too. We loved having you on. I hope to see you in a few months. We'll touch base.
Great. Thank you.
Bye-bye. I would like to thank today's very special guest, Alex Skelton from Watt Bike, who we just heard from. Doesn't he have a delightful personality? Nottingham. I couldn't resist the sheriff joke.
I was ready to give you an extra hour of time with him.
No kidding, yeah.
A couple of good interviews today.
And thank you to Tony Horton from P90X fame, and thanks for being such wonderful guests today and for encouraging us to seek help for better health and now and in the new year. God bless you both. And you're listening to the Laura Dion-Jones Show every Wednesday afternoon from 3 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on WRMN 1410 a.m. And on that note, we'd like to thank everyone for being with us today. Jeff, Mike, Valerie, the Swan. And, of course, thank you to all of our loyal listeners. Be sure to tune in to find out what's shaking here on the Laura Dion-Jones Show every Wednesday afternoon from 3 to 4 p.m. And next week, November 16th, nationally known jury selection expert LaDonna Carlton will join us along with Dan Compton from Britton Ketchum, a local Fox Valley attorney, for some very spirited courtroom talk and, believe it or not, fitness. And tune in for a real lively show. And also next week, the Laura Dion-Jones Show will celebrate our second anniversary. And I don't know what to say. Dr. Aleo Snobhounds, thank you. Casey for making this show possible. And I was going to tell you about Visceral from last week from the call-in, but hey, we'll get to that. And remember, as our new best friend Tony Horton would say, do your best, forget the rest. Now, thanks for listening, kids. We'll see you next week. We absolutely love being here with you. Hey, Mike, thanks again for the happy. And let's keep all of our troops over in the Middle East and around the globe in our prayers. And especially now that the holidays are almost upon us, how about sending some care packages to our boys and girls overseas? And now, this goes out to everyone. Please Forgive Me by David Gray. Download it. Not exactly fitness walking music, but you'll get the drift. Semper Fi, kids, and peace. See you next week.
Please forgive me if I act a little strange, for I know not what I do running through my veins. Every time I look at you, every time I look at you. Help me out here, all my words are falling short. And there's so much I want to say. Want to tell you just how good it feels when you look at me